Welcome to the Performance Enhancing Podcast. It's like steroids for your brain. A podcast for people looking to live life at their peak potential. Chock full of real-world tools and knowledge that you can apply in your life today. By providing you with a lens into the lives, beliefs, practices, and actions of those who are already living extraordinary lives, the Performance Enhancing Podcast will help you shift your mindset or create that change in your daily rituals and habits so you can explode with success in the areas of life that are most important to you. So get ready for another dose of Performance Enhancing Podcast with SatoriPrime. Here's your host, Ilan Ferdman.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Performance Enhancing Podcast. I actually haven't done one of these solo ones in a while, and I thought I got a couple of incredible emails in the last couple of days. Just went on an amazing trip with my family, and I figured now is as good a time as any. So first, I just want to do a quick shout out and read you a email I got from one of our listeners. So shout out Leslie Howard, who made my vacation with this incredible email. So Leslie, first of all, thank you. And I just want to read it because it just blew my mind. And again, I'm serious. When you guys send me this, I truly get inspired by them. I love them. I read them to my entire family while we were on vacation. It was amazing. It reads, Elon, you're a beast on content. I don't know how you keep finding these gold nuggets, but you do. Senseless value. And then in parentheses, he wrote, so much value, it almost doesn't make sense. I love that, Leslie. This podcast gave me a twitch. That feeling that happens when you know you've been influenced by something. I woke up this AM at 3:48 for a bio break. I hope you don't mind me saying that, Leslie, and never returned to sleep. All I could think about was marketing. I'm serious. My mind just went on a rampage. Killer interview and content. I'm just an author now, but in the back of my mind, marketing has always been a huge interest, and this podcast just blew it up, dude. Seriously, awesome. Have a great rest of your weekend. And that was specifically talking about the Dorn Aldana interview that I just released. And I love that. And Leslie, I hope you don't mind me sharing it, but it was just so great. And like I said, I love you guys sharing that with me. If these interviews give you value, share it with others. This podcast is obviously growing, and we'd like to keep it growing even faster. So anyone that you feel like can benefit from something that you listen to, please just share the link with them. Let them subscribe, and hopefully they can write one of those emails one of these days. So with that being said, I want to kind of talk about timing. Perfect timing. It's something that I think we all struggle with, whether it's just me playing tennis or in life and business. And I want to give you guys some sort of insights about perfect timing, because a lot of the problems that we face, a lot of the overwhelm that we struggle with, or the why me victimhood thing that we go through tends to be around timing and expectations. And I got this email. I'm on the Kabbalah mailing list. For those that don't know what that is, we're not going to get into it, but it's a mystic side of Judaism. And the story of Joseph, and how Joseph actually ended up in jail, or was sentenced to jail for 10 years, plus the Pharaoh decreed that he must stay in jail for another 2. So on top of his conviction of 10, the Pharaoh just threw in there another 2. Now, for every other person looking at this from the outside, the 10-year conviction was bad as it is and wasn't really justified. Throwing another 2 on there was downright cruel. And what this email alludes to, or the story alludes to, is the fact that had Joseph gone out from prison after his 10-year sentence, the initial 10-year sentence, well, he would have gone on to be probably a pretty good soothsayer, and people would have reached out to him, etc. But during the extra 2 years is when the Pharaoh started having his crazy dreams. And lo and behold, who did he go to, who was still in a jail cell, thanks to him, was Joseph. And because of that 2-year extra period, Joseph walked out of jail being the second most powerful man in all of Egypt. Right? If he would have gotten out at the right time, the 10 years, he would have just been moderately successful soothsayer. Instead, during that extra 2 years, which everyone from the outside, or I'm sure even him, thought it was a horrible, horrible thing, because of that extra sentence, he now becomes the second most powerful man in Egypt. And what does this teach us? This teaches us basically that most of the time in life, we have an idea of where we want to get to. And all that we see is us here and that there. And any way that swerves us off the road that we envision, okay, that's a very, very deep point here, that we envision, we get upset. We get upset, we talk about why me, why this, why now, why how, all of this kind of crap, right? Because we see a very linear line to get there. The universe, God, whatever you want to call it, any journey towards anything has its ups and downs. Here's what I want to give you as a different perspective to hopefully, as you're going through this stuff, because we all are. If you're breathing, you are going through it. It might not be in your business. It might be with your relationship with your loved one, your relationship with your kids, a partner at work. It doesn't matter. We all go through this. Why? Right? It's a question we always ask ourselves. Why? Well, I don't know that there's a right or wrong answer, but I can give you a perspective that will hopefully empower you during these moments so that you don't beat yourself up or stop moving forward. So I'm going to give a personal example. In our business, we've had to pivot this business, or SatoriPrime, many, many times. In fact, we're going through a pivot right now, which you will all find about very, very soon. We had an incredible idea while we were on vacation, and we're just trying to put this whole thing together. So stay tuned, because this will impact your lives. But during these pivots, what I always look at is when things are going incredibly well, you very, very rarely pay attention to how you function as a human being. Your thoughts or anything like that. It's just life is working. It's almost like the only time you notice your head is when you have a headache. The only time you think about breathing is when you can't breathe, right? Certain body parts hurt, then all of a sudden they become an issue. You start thinking about them. But up until those moments, you're kind of unaware. You're on autopilot. So why do these things happen? Why do we swerve off the road? Well, maybe, just maybe, an empowering context to look from is that there's some sort of lesson that you need to learn on this journey. You know that cliche, success is a journey, not a destination? Well, I can attest from having our business constantly be in ebbs and flows and ups and downs, it's when you go into that downturn, when something looks like, you know what, this isn't exactly how we envisioned. The question I always ask myself is, what am I here to learn? Why am I experiencing this right now? What is this here to teach me? Because if I'm always thinking from a standpoint of, why are we here and not there, which many of us do because that's the way our brain is programmed to function, that puts you in a really shitty conversation, what I call a disempowering context. Ultimately, I believe that each and every one of us was put on this planet to contribute, to make a difference. Now, your make a difference might just be at home with your loved ones. Others of you might be more global impact, right? You heard us talk about this on the Amir podcast. Global impact, global transformation. Whatever it might be, consider that whatever it is you're going through is here to provide you the tools to actually get to your final, what you see now, I should say, as your final destination. And if you didn't have that swerve, if you didn't have that dip, you would be completely unaware that there is something for you to learn. Just like completely unaware of your head until it hurts. So the next time, and maybe you're in this right now, the next time you find yourself in a situation where you become a victim, where you keep asking yourself, why am I not there? I was supposed to be there. Life should be this way. I want you to just stop for a second and realize that having that kind of conversation is not moving you faster. It's not moving you ahead. It's almost like God or the universe put just a roadblock in front of you to slow you down and pay attention to something. And if you actually take the time to sit there and start analyzing, okay, what is this here to teach me? Why is this situation occurring? And what is the lesson I can glean from it? And here's what I guarantee you, that whatever it is you're going through or whatever roadblock you now need to face is something that constantly you come up against. It might be fear of success. It might be your conversations around overwhelm. It might be your conversations about fear of failure, or love, or connectedness, or being vulnerable. But it's something that you refuse to deal with time and time again. And if you actually took the time to analyze and sit there and dig down deep and look, well, is this a pattern that I've seen before? Is this something that has stopped me before? Maybe that's why this situation is showing up. And learn to act differently. I heard this amazing line the other day: observe, learn, improve. Right? Take the time, observe the situation, learn from the situation, and then improve the way you handle that situation. And lo and behold, right back on track. And you know what I find incredible is every time you take the time to do that, to observe, learn, and improve, you will find that the universe has this way of just showing you these guiding lights. It's like, ooh, you did it. And it'll show you that next signpost to show you exactly where you need to go next. And I feel like that's exactly what happened when we were on our trip with our family. Guy and I were just having this conversation. All of a sudden, we get this email from Leslie, and that kind of gets us going on this whole conversation. And next thing you know, we may have just created our next, hopefully, 7-figure idea, which I'll share with you guys in these upcoming podcasts once we kind of put a little more meat on the bones of the idea. But I really wanted to share this with you because I find that when we coach people and we train people, a lot of people take themselves out of the game when the road that they're going on from point A to point B doesn't look the way that they want it to. You know, instead of going this way, they're like here, and then they come back, and then they're here, and then they come back. And if I could just share with you that this happens to everyone. You know, if you've listened to any of the people that we've interviewed on the podcast, you'll know that that's just the way that process is. And if you can alter the way that you perceive the process and see it more as the process, you know, that it's just something you have to go through in order to get there, then you'll be so much better off. Then all this heartache and all this victimhood that you live in will completely dissipate. And that's the choice that you have moment by moment by moment in these particular instances. So I hope this has given you some great value, and I hope if you're in one of those instances, this can kind of create an empowering context for you to now continuously move forward, keep building that skill set, and keep obtaining the goals and reach bigger and bigger and bigger ones. And with that, we'll end today's podcast. Again, if you're getting value from these, please, please, please share them. Leave a comment and rating on iTunes. That is a great, great gift to us as well. And until we speak again, have an amazing, amazing day, my friends.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Performance Enhancing Podcast. We've taken this pep talk and created a custom action guide so you know exactly what action steps to take now to grow your business. Just head over to SatoriPrime.com/podcast and download it for free. Also, please leave a comment and rate this podcast on iTunes. It'll help us get the word out. Thanks for listening. Now, go and implement. We'll see you next time.
Did you run through doors till you hit the floor? Did you read my